final project regarding circuitry. So we've been working with MicroBit, we've been working with breadboarding. So for our final project, what I wanted to talk to you about is we are actually going to create a MicroBit piano, and you are going to be graded on whether or not you can actually get it to play a song, individual notes. So what you're seeing on your screen here now, I'm going to talk about the wiring layout of how this is going to work. I'll switch over to my camera here in a second. I'll show you how I have it wired to my breadboard, and I'm also going to show you the code as well. So the first thing just to note, on your MicroBit, there's a bunch of these pins across the bottom. Now we did an activity where we used passive buzzer, and we had it play happy birthday. But what we're going to do is we are going to assign individual notes to some of these pins. Now we need to tell the MicroBit in order to expand out, meaning use these pins here in order to play the notes. So when we trigger it by sending voltage into one of these pins, it's going to tell the buzzer to play a note. So first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go get some items here. So you're going to get your MicroBit. You want to go get that extension, the part that you plug into the board. It's also called a dragon tail. And you're going to wire up your buzzer. This is the same way that we did it in the project for class. So on the buzzer, there's 3 pins, VCC, GND, and there's one that says IO. So VCC goes into a 3.3 volt, ground goes into the ground, and IO stands for input output. We're going to use pin 0 for that, and pay very close attention to this note that I have here. We're going to establish some pins in order to play some notes, and you cannot use P0 again in this project because that one is actually making the buzzer buzz, so it's already in use. So pay close attention to that. And then lastly, you're going to need to have an extra wire, and that's going to be your finger, like when you're playing the piano. And that wire needs to get plugged into 3.3 volt. Now this will make sense here in a second when I show you how I have mine wired up. I'm also going to give you some copper tape that you can grab from the desk, and that's what you're going to use in order to create your piano keys because it's a conductor. Once you are done with that, on this document that you have in Schoology, you are going to pick a song, and you are going to then wire up, or I guess choose your notes, however many notes there are in these songs, and that's how many keys you have to wire up into your MicroBit. So let's cut over to a video here, and this will make a little bit more sense. So on the table, you will find note cards, and also this is copper tape. So it is shiny on one side, sticky on the other side, and that's what we're going to use to create our piano keys. So next I'm going to show you the coding, but in order to show you, make some sense of that, let me show you how I have this wired up first. So I already gave you the document and told you how to wire up our buzzer. So again, VCC is in 3.3 volts, GND is in the ground, and the IO is being used in this white wire you see here. That's going to be pin 0. Now for mine, and you can use, I don't want to say any pin that you want, but I used pins 1 through 6 with the exception of pin 5. So in that document that shows you the pins on the MicroBit, pin 5 is actually reserved for pushing the A button on the MicroBit. So what we need to do is we're going to skip pin 5. So I used pins 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6. And that's how I had it coded. You see that I have these pins in here, and then I have a loose one. This loose one is my finger. So when I play the piano, oh, you hear it there. It touched one of the notes. Let me just stick it in here for safekeeping. When I touch these pieces of copper tape, or these keys, and I send voltage through it, what it's doing is it's telling the MicroBit, hey, we have voltage coming into this pin And the code's going to say when voltage comes into this pin, I want you to play whatever note that we designate. So across the top of my note card, in my bad handwriting, we have C, D, E, F, G. So just for sake of example, let's say that I chose a song that had those 5 notes. Yours might have 6 notes. Doesn't really matter which song you choose, but I have these wired up here, and you peel the tape back. I'm going to give you a little tip. So when you peel this tape back, it's sticky on one side here. And what I would highly, highly recommend that you do, rather than just laying it on top of this and then sticking it to your note card, so let me tear a piece off here just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. If I were to just lay this on here, it might not make a great connection, but what you can do to have it make a better connection, as I did here, if I roll this over, oh, they're not showing you in the video. If I roll this over and fold it, so I kind of wrapped it around that male part of the jumper wire. Perfect. The tape folds, not a big deal. And then what I can do is I can lay it on the board here. So this is my next key that I'm using here. Great. And I can fold it over or I can tear it off there. Okay? So I would recommend that you do what I did here. Fold it over top of it. I did it with all of them. If you just lay underneath and lay the tape across it, it might not make a good connection. And then if you do that with your piano finger here, and you notice that's not making a sound, and this isn't plugged in, so that wouldn't make sense. But if it's not making a sound when I touch the note, the reason likely is because it's not making a good connection. So on here, I have all of these programmed to be different notes. So let me show you this example, and then I'll jump over, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the base code to get started. I'm not giving you all of the code. I'm not telling you what notes to use because you're determining that based on what song you choose. And I'm also not going to give you the full code. You have to duplicate and expand what you have in order to play the song. So if you listen here. There you go. Is it great? No. Does it work? Sure. So this is going to be the example of our piano here. So I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to now jump over to the code in order to do that. The final piece here that we have, so we're going to work on our wiring. You're going to pick a song, choose how many notes, and wire that up. So how do you actually get it to program to play? I mentioned in the first part of this video that you cannot use pin 0 because that is actually wired up to our buzzer, so you have to skip that. So what I have this doing here in this code is on start, let me zoom in a bit. Here we go. On start, we're going to set the volume, and then we're going to set pin 1 to emit edge events, meaning it's going to understand that the dragon tail, when we send signal through the tips of these here, and also check this out. If you hover over these and just point for a second, so this is pin 7, this is pin 8, and that's how these are connected to your dragon tail, how they're expanded out. Each of these little pins, basically we're making them usable by plugging in the dragon tail. So now in mine, I needed to have 5 piano keys. So here's key 1. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to snap this here. Now you notice P1 was gray. I snap it in here. I'm going to choose P2. So what I'm telling it on start, hey MicroBit, I need you to recognize at any time that I send voltage through these pins, it creates an event, and then it's going to play a sound, which is the other part of our code. So you need to build out 5, 6, 7, however many keys. Just keep duplicating this. Remember, skip pin number 5. Skip pin number 5. All right. So we have pin number 5 skipped. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move over here. And right here I have pin number 1. So when it determines an event, it's going to play C, which is the first key. Click on it. I can change it. I can choose. So middle C. Great. It's going to play middle C when I push pin 1. Now I'm going to duplicate this whole thing. So now, when I press pin number 2, I want it to play another note. For instance, mine is D. I want you to build this out so that you have the edge events so that the MicroBit is playing through the pins, and then you have to select what note is it going to play when you take that extra 3.3 volt finger, as I call it, and touch the notes on your note card. Good luck.